We're back! Did you miss us, bitches? Because we sure as hell didn't miss you. That's right. The boys are back. Krill, are you there? Krill?
Oh,
Hello?
sorry, Mike. Have we started? Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, hey, man,
We're
what's up?
back.
Hey,
The
welcome.
boys are back.
Yeah. So we have actually 3 hosts today: me, you, and Pat. In the background, he's been the topic of conversation. I thought he would join us.
Pat, why
Hey,
don't you
Pat.
chime in and say hello to everybody? I'm sure they're all anxious to hear you talk.
Go ahead, Pat.
Pat?
Yeah,
Anything?
I wouldn't have anything to say either after your last couple weeks. Okay, Michael, go ahead.
Pat, are you not there?
Wrong.
What? Okay. Well, whatever you say, Pat. If you choose to chime in later in the show, we would very much appreciate it.
Definitely.
So we're back. We want to thank Hopster and the rest of his ragtag crew for making some podcasts the last couple of weeks. I don't know about you, Krill, but I watched them both in their
They
full
did too.
entirety, and I thought they were awesome. So.
Yeah, they did a good job.
And while we are back today, we will be gone for the next 2 weeks because we're fucking leaving Minnesota and going to Miami. And Krill's flying to Pennsylvania, other stuff too. So we wanted to try and get a podcast out today before our extended leave here. So nice to put one of these together. Krill, do you want to talk about what we're going to be going over today on the show?
Yeah, so we're just going to go over standings, fab dollars. We are going to do a slipping and ripping segment of the teams that are slipping and ripping through the standings.
That's right. Arguably, everybody's favorite part of the podcast is the name of these different categories.
And then the bad lettuce, good lettuce from the past is back, except we're going to do a tribute to Pokemon. A new game comes out this week, Sword and Shield, and it's going to be I Choose You and...
Released to the wild. When
Yep.
you just don't want that bitch in your PC box anymore, and you literally release him to the wild. And that's what you guys should do with the waivers. Because if any of these guys get released, I will pick them up and add them to my team. Because they're not that
you
bad.
need all the help you can get, Mike.
Oh, God. Well, honestly, if they end up on my team, they'll end up injured next week. So just keep your players and save their injuries. So, Krill, you want to start by going over some of the standings?
Yep. So basically, it's getting pretty competitive. We got Erica as the sole 8-1. She's just out front, just keeps pounding people and winning. And she has $4 left, which is nothing. Then you have Nick, who's dropping a couple games here. He's had some injuries. Not sure what's going on with AJ Green. He's got $12. You have me that lost to Jackie last week at 6-3. $22. Pat with no money at 6-3. I think he's lost 2 in a row now. And then you have Justin. It's kind of killing it. So look, okay, I'm gonna just name off the 5 and 4 teams: Justin, Spitzer, Hoppy, Jackie. So if you add those on to me, Erica, Nick, and Pat, that's 8 teams.
Yeah, and then Andrew's at 4 and 5. All of a sudden, this league that was super top heavy, there's now this big conglomerate in the middle, which is pretty exciting and should make for a fun finish. Especially for people like me and Donley who have such shitty records, we're already out. At least we get a look at the rest of this and see what happens. That'll still be fun to kind of sit back and watch.
I mean, arguably, literally, there can be a scenario where Nick, me, and Pat, all 3 of us can just fall out of the playoffs, and these teams could bump us in. You know what I'm saying? Or bump in. Erica seems like she's got unlock. I don't think if she loses the rest of her games, she's still making the playoffs. She might not get a bye, but she's got that unlock. But I could still be out at 6-3, which is nuts. So
yeah, should be fun to see what shakes out. One other thing, let's do this. Most points scored for in this league. Justin is now at the top, despite the fact that he's only 5 and 4. He has almost 50 points more than the second highest scorer, which is Erica. He's got 1,100 points already. The team with the lowest is good old Ruby. No, actually, it's Donley. Wow, both those fucking teams suck. With 806 and 829 points. So that's over 300 points less than where Justin's sitting at. When you look at the more sad column. It's points scored against. Yours truly is the far and away king of that. I have just shy of 1,100 points scored against. Well, the lowest team, Nick, has 876. So congrats on your easy gift wins, Nick. And if you make the playoffs, unless your guys get uninjured, you're probably fucked.
You know,
so,
Andrew's the only other team over 1,000 points scored against.
Yay!
I'm just.
Thanks for pointing that out, Kirill. I really haven't noticed all the luck.
Let's keep jumping through.
Okay. Oh, one last thing to say too before we get into the slipping and ripping is I went ahead and I totaled up the total number of trades that I've done this year. Krill, did I tell you that number yesterday?
Yes.
How many it was? Okay. I told you how many trades have happened in this league. We have had a total of 46 trades that have happened this year. So some leagues have 3-4 trades. This one has had 46, and it's ridiculous. Vice and Pat just literally swap their teams each week. So I know I'm up there for total trades, and it turns out the more trades doesn't always mean better team. Oh. So Erica hasn't made a single trade all year, and she's sitting way up at the top. Yeah, for the Saints defense. But, realistically, she hasn't altered her team very much at all, and neither has Nick, and those are the two top teams. So.
Do you know when the trade deadline is?
I can take a look. It's in the settings. So.
We could figure it out. We could do an announcement or something. Yeah. I'm sure it's coming up.
Trade deadline is week 12. Trades are not allowed after week 12.
What are we on now?
This is week 10.
10? Oh, wow. So basically
coming up. And then this is the thing, like usually it's this week. Last year it was this week that the trade deadline was. But we did that vote this year going into it to extend it to week 12, and we did. Because like some of my other leagues, this is the final week for trades. So 2 more weeks. Enjoy it, everybody. Make your teams worse. I'm looking at you, somebody.
Okay. Alrighty then. Moving on. All right, Mike. We're on to slipping and ripping. You've got the slip and sliders. Who's dropping this year or this week or right now? Who is the doo-doo of the group?
We were looking at slipping teams and trying to figure out what it is, and there's some minor, like Nick and Pat's team are slipping a little bit.
Give us the real turds, Mike. The real shitheads.
Nick's lost 2 of his 3. His team is hurt. He's got a whole bench full of injured dudes. Pat has lost his last 2. He's decimated his team, made tons of trades. He's starting half of his team every week is from the waiver wire, which is how he ended up with like 40 points last week. But those guys still have great records. If you are looking at the ultimate slippers,
the real turds,
shit slippers, you can't look any farther than the motherfucking Getty tree. Me and my brother have held this shit down. David has lost 5 of his last 6, only to be outdone by yours truly, who's lost 6 in a row.
That's
gone
great.
2-1 to 2-7. Just a whole shit slide all the way down. So, well, I'd love to say it's Pat and Seacock. Honestly, it's yours truly, and no one can compete with that. So,
at least you got
what we had in mind. This isn't what we had in mind. This isn't Michael Getty's self-loathing moment of the podcast, but it turned into that. So that's on you, Crow. Why don't you talk about the ripping teams?
All right, so the teams that are ripping through the standings are, I have Justin, who's 5-1 in his last 6. I have Andrew, 4-1 in his last 5. And Hoppy the Hopster, he is 4-0, obviously in his last 4. So, these guys are really battling back. I know that Justin started off 0-3. They've made some moves. I know that Andrew, has made a couple moves too recently, and I guess it's been working out. And they're gonna look to make the final push here, the playoff race. So,
yeah, we'll see what shakes out. So. Let's get into our Pokemon theme section and talk about that, where we're going to talk about the goods, the bads, the I choose you the released to the wild. So, Curly, you want to go ahead and lead it off?
Yeah.
With your
So
quarterback?
my quarterback is Lamar Jackson. I
Whoa!
choose you.
There you go. There you
Yeah,
go.
let's
Full
go.
fucking
Let's
extension.
go. So he basically took a big P on the Patriots defense last week. Kind of exposed Belichick. He is playing Cincinnati. I think they are the last winless team. Like
Who? The Niners?
Bengals,
Oh,
Niners,
winless. I thought you were talking about.
winless. No, Niners are good.
I think so. Yeah.
Yep. So they basically suck.
They've outdone the Dolphins.
And I think Lamar is gonna fucking slash through them. So he's my I guess you would say a starting Pokemon.
All right. I'm going to reach down to the utility belt here. Look for, yep, that's the right one. I choose you, Jameis Winston. I mean,
Oh wow!
I
You chose him and you traded him. That's crazy.
got
Why?
Pat Mahomes. I don't need Jameis
Okay.
anymore. These aren't my. Okay, when we're doing the I choose you and release to the wild, this does not mean that I think Jameis is the top quarterback on the week. Nor does it mean that the guy I choose in the release to the wild section is the worst quarterback of the week. It just means I look at this based on tough matchups and who I don't think or I will think can overcome it. So Jameis has been a big boomer bust guy. He throws a shit ton because that team is so incompetent outside of their receivers. He loves to turn the ball over, but he's against Arizona, who is the worst team against quarterbacks this season. So will he turn it over? Yeah, probably once or twice, but unlikely 5 or 6 times. Will he throw for at least 3 touchdowns? Yeah. Will Godwin and Evans eat all day? Yeah. Will OJ Howard watch them? Yeah. So I think stuff looks good for Jameis against the Cardinals. He's got a hell of a matchup. Krill, who are you releasing to the wild quarterback wise?
So the who I'm releasing to the wild and who should be released into the wild in real life as well is no other than Jared Goff.
Oh,
So a couple of things. Pittsburgh's defense has actually been really good. I think Minka, Fitzpatrick, everybody kind of took a shit on Pittsburgh for making that trade. They've had hell you doing watching YouTube videos?
no, that's applause for your great choice.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it. So Pittsburgh D has been good. I think Minka has 4 interceptions since he joined the team. No Cooks. Who the hell knows what's going on with him? Is he ever going to play football again? Is he not? And I actually looked up some stats. He's on pace for his worst season since his rookie year in 2016 for everything. So he's just not doing well. That offense is not clicking. I'm not sure if it's just the running game. I think the offensive line is just not good is not as good as they used to be. So I'm just releasing Jared Goff. I will not be starting him, playing him, looking at him, watching him. He's on red zone. I'm turning red zone.
Let me ask you this question. David has both Goff and Jacoby Brissett. Assuming Jacoby Brissett plays this week, they play the Dolphins. Would you rather start Jacoby or Goff?
Shit, I would rather start Hoyer if Jacoby doesn't play.
Oh, hot take. All
Yeah.
right. Hot take. Watch it. Everyone, when Jared Goff hits the waiver wires, you can thank Krill for that. My quarterback that I would be releasing, when you look at it from a purely matchup based, the guy who has the toughest matchup against quarterbacks this week is Russell Wilson. But Russell Wilson's been so amazing, I'm not really concerned. Like, he'll find a way to get something done against San Francisco. I don't think it'll be one of his best games, but by no means would I not start him or panic. He's been MVP all year. A guy who does have a really tough matchup, who probably won't overcome it, is Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins plays Dallas this week, which is the 29th, which is ranked 29th as far as points given up, meaning they're like the 3rd best team or 4th best team against quarterbacks. When you combine that with the fact that Thielen is likely to miss this week, I'd probably expect them to go more back to the ground game. And Thielen's, Kirk's been known to have good, like his game against Washington, he had good numbers. He just didn't get in the end zone. And when you don't get those touchdowns, he's not a runner. He's not going to get running yards. It really limits his upside. Kirk is a guy I would not start this week, and I would release to the wild. And I would actually release Kirk. So that's my quarterback situation. Krill,
All right.
who are you who are you going to throw out there? You just defeated a Dratini, and they're asking if you want to switch Pokemon for the next
Yeah,
bit.
I definitely.
You're throwing out.
And this Pokemon is definitely a fire type. You know, he starts off slow, and
You're
then
going to use a fire type against a dragon type? Fucking moron.
yeah, well, this is
God.
that's actually what his coach has been doing, is not putting him in the right battle situations or giving him enough opportunity to gain experience.
We have the same guy.
Damn
We
it,
have the
Montgomery!
same guy.
I choose you.
Montgomery!
Yes. Yep. And he plays for Chicago, so
does.
you guys are aware. He's had back-to-back 20 fantasy point games. No, I'm not trading him. He's at home. The Detroit defense sucks. Jacobs ran all over them last week.
They're the second worst defense against running backs.
So here's a stat I have. In the last 3 games, they've given up over 400 total yards receiving and rushing to running backs, and 5 touchdowns.
All right, listen to this. Detroit this year, as far as what they've given up, they started off the week giving up running back 13. All right, that's not bad. Then it was 5, 12, 6, 6, 2, 8, 3. Oh my God. I mean, it's nearly a top 5 start every single week. So
he's gonna beat.
And I think Chicago is realizing a couple of things. 1, they're probably not going to make the playoffs. 2, Mitch Trubisky is trash. And 3, Montgomery, or as I'm going to start calling him now, Montgomer's, he's a beast. He's a real deal, and Gummers Jr. is going to get it done this week.
They give the ball Cohen at the goal line, and he literally gets pushed backwards because he's just too small and he's just not a good runner between the fucking tackles. They give it to Montgomery. He always scores.
If I had to pick, Montgomery is my guy too. If I'm throwing someone out there to battle for me, McCaffrey's obvious. He's got a great matchup against the Packers, and while they've been better lately, he's going to be a stud. But maybe a less known or talked about guy is Mark Ingram. Should have a really good week because Cincinnati just sucks at almost every position except for one, which we'll hear about later. But
Jacobs should have a good week. Mac should have a good week.
Oh yeah, Mac against the Dolphins should be time to eat. So, all right, let's see if we have the same. If we're releasing the same running back, who are you getting rid of and cutting ties with and releasing?
Mike, I'll be honest with you, man. I've been releasing this guy since before we even did a draft.
Fuck. We do have the same guy. You want to say it on the count of 3? 1, 2, 3. Devonta
Freeman.
Yeah, there it is. All right, and this is why I guess we should go over these in advance, but we clearly agree. He plays the Saints. The Saints are the best team against defenses. Freeman's like shit all year. I mean,
he's averaging around 3 yards a carry. I mean, he can't run at all.
Yeah.
Part of it is the offensive line, but part of it is just he's not that good. So.
If you want other guys who have tough matchups this week, Todd Gurley against Pittsburgh has a tough matchup. Chris Carson has a tough matchup against the Niners.
You know what would suck is to have Tampa Bay is pretty good against the run, and then you have David Johnson and Drake, and you're just like, holy shit, like, what's the workload going to be? 50-50? Is Johnson going to get hurt and Drake's going to continue? Like, if I'm Nick, I'm nervous about the
David or Donnelly.
Who cares? Donnelly doesn't give a shit. He's 1-8. The fucking release half his team. It doesn't matter.
Hey, Donnelly's still fucking playing the game, okay? He went with that defensive strategy last week against Erica. That was some savage shit. That's the Donnelly we expect. That's the Donnelly we know and not love, but hate. That's the Donnelly we expect.
Remember the scouting report I gave on him in the beginning of the season?
I don't know what.
In the beginning of the season, I was going over owners and drafting, and I talked about Donnelly, and I said you could never trust him in anything. I don't know. Yeah, this is what we want, Donnelly. We want you to spoil these people's dreams and hopes.
I can't wait till Donnelly comes back next year, actually drafts a running back, and has a team again. It's going to be fun.
If people think Pat likes to talk shit or me or anybody else, just wait till Donnelly gets in a roll. He's going to.
No, I don't think.
Yes, he will. He'll pierce your heart. He's pierced your heart a couple times. Look at you. You shaking.
There's no better Don than a Don that's down to the dumps. So,
Donnelly nightmares.
as much hate as Hoppy and company have for David, this duo team has their own special thoughts about good old Anthony Donnelly. So, you know, we'll move on from there. Good wide receivers. Who are you choosing to throw out there? All right, Krill, you're facing a rock type. What type Pokemon are you going to throw out there this time? Another fire? Huh?
I'm gonna go with a nice.
Are you serious? Pick a type.
Let's either leaf or water.
There you go. Good job.
It's a combination. We'll call him leafy water. He's kind of like that, you know what I'm saying? And I choose
grass type, but okay.
And I choose Godwin.
Oh, that's so fucking boring.
Why?
Well, obviously he's good.
This is also for daily fantasy. Think about it. He's at home against Arizona. They're fucking trash, right?
They're the worst.
Evans right now is the #1 wide receiver, rated #1. But Patrick Peterson, he missed a couple of games, but he's back. He's going to be on Evans the whole time. They actually match up pretty well. And so who the hell is going to guard Godwin? This guy can literally just go off. So I don't know why Pat even traded him, because he could have had a really big game. But and I put that Arizona gave up 4 passing touchdowns to Jimmy Garoppolo. Before that game, he really hasn't done anything. So yeah, Patrick Peterson and Evans, Godwin just going to be wide open running out there. He should have a huge game.
Arizona's is seventh best or worst, against wide receivers. So obviously you can kind of slash and gash the Cardinals D. In my notes, I said Bucs wide receivers were too obvious. The Jets guys just suck. So you can't choose them because the Giants are the worst. But I don't trust any Jets. You can start all of them. I just don't trust a single one of them. So the guy that I'm going to be choosing, Krill, why don't you give me a type that I'm fighting against, and I'll tell you who I'll throw out.
Sure, Fairy.
Fairy? Okay, I'm going to choose a poison type. That's some next level shit right there, because poison's super effective against Fairy. And I'm going to throw out the real Fairy of them all, Keenan Tinkerbell Adams. Allen. I got a little excited there with that nickname. Keenan Allen, who plays Oakland. Oakland is the 5th worst. And Keenan Allen's actually kind of been slumping and a little disappointing as of late. They got a win last week against Green Bay. They have a new offensive coordinator, and they have a great matchup this week. You know, every week should have been Keenan's week to kind of come back, but maybe this one will be it. Who knows? But I like Keenan a lot this week, and I would definitely throw him out there to fight all the fairies.
Another group of receivers to throw out there is the Cardinals receivers.
Yep.
A big battle, and
which one?
He sucks.
Kirk?
Fitzgerald or Kirk.
Fitz has been really bad lately.
Yeah, but I mean, I feel like this is his game.
Could be. Who are you releasing?
So this guy, I don't know if you looked at him or not. He has been really hot lately.
That's we don't have the same guy. That's good.
So he's actually right now in the season in our league for a 14-team league. He's actually receiver 1. And the guy but I'm releasing for this week is going to be Marvin Jones.
He's not wide receiver 1. There's no way.
He's 14th receiver in the season.
Oh, 14. Okay. I thought you said like he's number 1. Okay, I got you. 14.
No, number 1. Yeah, yep. But in our league he would be 1. So
sure.
I'm thinking
he's had some big games too.
Huge games, and obviously it definitely seems like what am I trying to say here?
Can I tell you why you're wrong about him?
No.
All right.
Galladay is the one. That's when Marvin Jones is getting a lot of other looks for the secondary corner, so to speak. And so Chicago is a top 5 pass D. They're not great against the run, but I don't know. And they're at Chicago. I mean, they are at a away game. I just don't think he's going to have that good of a game. But why am I wrong?
Wrong. I'm going to tell you why. Thanks, Pat. You're bad. You talkative motherfucker, you. I'll tell you why you're wrong. It's really simple, actually, when you look at it. Marvin Jones is on Team Andrew. Team Andrew plays me this week. And guess who has the most points given up each week? This guy. So throw away all logic. Marvin Jones going off for at least 2 tutties.
What?
It's not even that crazy. It could happen. Let me tell you who I'm cutting. And I'm glad I cut ties with this player earlier on in the year because he's fucking trash. His name is Odell Beckham Jr. He plays the Bills this week. They have the second best defense against wide receivers. He'll be paired up with Tre'Davious White, and Tre'Davious White is one of the top shutdown corners in the league.
He's got to be top 5.
I am just so glad. I've made a lot of mistakes this year in fantasy, and I basically traded him for Damian Williams. But I don't even care. I'm just glad he's not on the team. That guy's been a big-time disappointment. I'll be very curious to see what he goes for in fantasy next year. Is it $20? Is it $30? I mean, his production's been really bad. Justin traded for him last week and gets to roll the dice with him. But right now in the year, he's wide receiver 26, but he feels a lot lower than that. So he might get you 10 points. He might get you.
How is he 26?
I don't. It's surprising, but he is.
Take away the Jets game where that long touchdown, he's like.
If you just take away that 90-yard touchdown pass, just that one play in that game, his season falls apart. So, but he has it. So good on him. You don't get points for that in future weeks, though. So Odell is my release to the wild. Let's do tight ends. Krill, all right, this is the Final Four battle against Lance, the final champion. Who are you throwing out in the ultimate? You don't know who his Pokemon is. You don't know the type.
No.
You guys got to go for your best guy. Who's your tight end?
I'm choosing Hunter Henry.
Okay.
He's been pretty hot lately, and I think that personally, Phillip Rivers is shot. He can't go deep, as you can see. Mike Williams and Keenan Allen are suffering due to that. The offensive line isn't too good. They want to establish the run. You see that. When you establish the run, your next best friend is the tight end. Oakland is trash at passing. We've already discussed all this. And if you look at Hunter Henry, he runs a lot of ins, outs, short slants. He's pretty good at run after catch. Since he's come back, these are his fantasy numbers. He had 26 against Pittsburgh, good defense. He had 12.7 against Tennessee, good defense. He dropped 7 on Chicago, good defense. And he dropped pretty much 12 points on Green Bay. The lowest targets he's had was 6. Yep. So he's the guy I'm choosing. He's after missing 4 games, he's already the tight end 9 in the year. So there's no crickets, idiot.
Hunter Henry, that's exciting. Great pick. My guy that I'm going to go with. Funny. The 2 worst teams against tight ends play each other. Bucks and Cardinals. They're trash. But you know what those teams also have in common? Trash tight ends. O.J. Howard has been garbage all year. He should have a good game. I doubt it. Cameron Brate. I just asked Pat if you should start Cameron Brate. And then the Cardinals, I mean, they just don't have a tight end.
I'll be honest. I'm probably going to start O.J. Howard this week.
That's fine. Maybe he'll do something, but it's definitely risky based on the season he had. So the guy that I think, I mean, obviously you're going to start this guy, but I think I'm surprised by how good the matchup is. George Kittle against Seattle. Seattle's the 3rd worst team against tight ends, which is a little surprising when they got guys like Bobby Wagner, who you'd think would be watching and guarding the tight ends, but they haven't been good all year against the tight ends. And I think Kittle is a fantastic start. So.
Wow. What a pick from the depths.
Krill doesn't have a soundboard in front of him, so he's got to do these lame emojis on Skype. I don't know if we'll see it in the video or not, but I think he's pretty sad about it. So,
okay, so the guy that I'm releasing into the wild, he will not be making the final roster cut, is a Mark Andrews against Cincinnati. Yes, Cincinnati sucks, but they're actually decent against tight end, and I feel like the game is going to get out of hand where they're not going to need to pass. They're just going to run all over Cincinnati, put in some backups. I just don't think Mark Andrews is going to do much against Cincinnati. And that's like tight end is like literally the only position that team could actually guard.
You know what I think?
I like Littles.
That's what I think. I agree. 100%. Mark Andrews is my guy. This was my surprise what the Bengals are actually good against. They're 30th as far as giving up points to the tight end, so 3rd best. They're really good. Me and you have talked about it this week. Like, I haven't been really impressed with Mark Andrews leading through. Like, he started off super strong, but if you look at his playoff schedule, he has one of the worst playoff schedules too. I wouldn't be thrilled about having to rely on him moving forward. Hopefully, I'm wrong because I have him in some other leagues, but yeah, I think it's a riskier start. He's a very talented player, but I don't love the matchup this week. So,
All right, you want to move into matchups?
yeah, let's do it. Are you waving at your son?
Yep.
Okay. Let's go ahead. We'll start with I'll just go through the list the way I have them in order. The first one I have is me versus Andrew. At this point, when you lose 6 in a row, I don't know why you'd pick me to win at this point. Like, I like my players more. But I think this is going to be the revenge of some of my old guys. Austin Hooper's out for blood this week. So Curtis Samuel, I stare down the barrel of the gun against my old guys. I don't like my receivers. They're okay. They're all boomer busts. Like Ted Ginn, Robbie Anderson, those are guys who could catch a 60-yard touchdown or they could have quiet games. So I think for me, it'll come down to my Jets. And because the Jets have been so bad and they weren't even good against the Dolphins, I don't feel great. I was kind of banking on that team to turn it around second half of the year. And then you have Mahomes, who's coming back from injury. So just a little concerned to see how he does against, I think he plays against the Titans. Yeah, which is a pretty good D. I love Mahomes. He's got the opportunity to throw 4 touchdowns each week. But Andrew's been, his team's been hot lately. My team's been slumping. I'll take Andrew based on the trends. But I think it should be close. What do you think?
So I just said that you have really good matchups in Bell, Mac, Anderson. Yes, I put Anderson. Andrew has the opposite.
Robbie has a great matchup this week. He could go off.
He does, yeah. That's what I said, yeah. But then you got Jones versus Chicago, Landry versus Buffalo, and I don't know. Most of your guys that should do well are at home. Most of his guys are away. I think Landry's at home and Cohen's at home, but that's about it. Devontae Parker should have a good game. I just think your matchups are just comparatively so much better. But I did put that even though I have you winning, the biggest difference maker in this entire thing is Kyler Murray. I mean, this dude could just literally go off.
Yeah, he could.
Because Pat Mahomes coming back at Tennessee is way tougher than Murray, who's been hot, playing against the shittiest pass D. So I have you winning, and the only difference is for me that I would think Andrew would have a definite advantage and chance over is Murray, which is kind of funny to say. You just picked Murray over Mahomes, MVP, a rookie over MVP Mahomes. So
we'll see how Mahomes is doing. If he's healthy out there and looks good, he could fucking slice and dice the Titans because he has all of his weapons back and healthy. He's the last piece to come back to the puzzle. So he could be great, but if he's coming back too soon and gets re-injured or he's not quite healthy, that's the risk with Mahomes. Luckily, he's been a participant in practice, but we'll see what happens.
Who's next?
So next, I have the Jackie versus Pat battle, and I have Jackie winning that. Just because Pat's really kind of switched up his philosophy. He used to always trade and play for this week,
he's playing for the playoffs, bro.
Which got him to be such a good record, and now he's traded his guys for the future. So he's just completely shifted his mindset. I'm not saying it's wrong, but if he keeps losing, if he loses this week, he's going to have to start worrying about making the playoffs. So he really kind of needs to win. And, when you're projected 75 points and you're starting Chester Rogers and Obadobi Johnson and no tight end,
and
Brian
Edmonds and Russell Gage or whatever. I don't know what the fuck that is.
By the way, who drops the Ravens defense to pick up the Bears? Ravens are playing the Bengals this week. Bears are playing Matt Stafford. Whatever. I think Jackie's going to win. I don't necessarily love Jackie's matchup. She has some tough ones. Like Lockett against the Niners And Freeman, this is by no means a cakewalk. I think it will be close. And if Pat was playing for the week like he usually does and has his roster aligned like that, I think Pat would win. But it's going to be close. I'll take Jackie to win. It's tough when you got Hilton and Thielen and Edelman, and he's without all those guys this week. So that's tough for Pat.
Yeah, Pat has Pat's bench is T.Y. Hilton, Adam Thielen, Fuller, Edelman. He doesn't have a tight end, so somebody's going to have to get dropped. The 4 guys that we talked about, kind of the no-names on his team. The only thing that saves Pat is the matchup that Jackie has. But I pick her to win. I'm not going to go much.
Yeah, and we saw how it worked out last week for him with all the fill-in guys. It didn't. Like, a lot of those guys got zeros. At least he's starting less Bears this week. That's the good news. So,
yeah.
All right, let's talk about the next matchup, which is Hoppy versus Vice. In that one, I have Hoppy winning, and I think his stars will just shine. Christian McCaffrey, Keenan Allen. Crowder is probably the only wide receiver on the Jets you can reliably trust to get stuff done too, and he has a great matchup. So I think Hoppy pulls it out. I guess Vice has a shot with some of these guys too, but Russ doesn't have the best matchup. Zach Pascal, I don't trust as a Colts fan. Robert Woods has been bad all year. Joe Mixon been bad all year. Jonnu Smith had one big game. Like, I don't know. I would take Hoppy's team just because Christian McCaffrey might score half as much as Vice's entire team. So, yeah.
So I put that really besides CMC, in my personal opinion, there's no one really that exciting. Like you said, Keenan Allen star, but he hasn't really done much. I do think Keenan Allen's finally going to come out versus shitty Oakland pass D. CMC is obviously the MVP of the season, not just the fantasy season, but the NFL season. He's playing Green Bay. Green Bay always gives up a lot of points to running backs. I mean, they brought Melvin Gordon back to life, who was just garbage. You can run on them super easy. And Connor's practicing, so that's probably going to take a lot of time and snaps from Samuels. I don't know. I just think that I don't know. I just pick Hoppy to win, to be honest with you. And Russell, who's been the MVP considerably as well as McCaffrey, has a tough matchup, and San Francisco. So.
Okay. On to the next matchup. Maybe the matchup of the week. We have. You already know what I'm going to talk about, then, don't you?
Year.
God, someone see if Krill's arm's okay from patting himself on the back.
Seems pretty good.
We got Krill.
How does this look? Is it good? Arm seems to work fine. I don't know if you can see it.
Pat seems to like it. Yeah, Pat. Chances are Pat might chime in one more time.
No, I feel like he's been watching me the whole time. Weird. I don't know. Anyway.
So, matchup, Krill versus Justin. This is the best matchup of the week, probably.
Here.
And maybe one of the top matchups that we've had this year. What did they both projected? Like 120 points. And Krill has his full team. Justin is missing Sony and Ertz. So
Sony sucks.
With that being said, like if you look at this, it's fun because there are guys that were in our hot and cold section on both teams. Like you have on Krill's team, you have Mark Andrews, who was bad, and Gummers Jr., who's good. And then on Justin's side, you have Odell, who's bad, Kittle, who's good. So, I mean, it should be interesting. When it comes down to it, like it's back and forth. I think the fact that Justin has some of his guys on bye this week, I give the slight edge to Kirill. And I think part of it too is I don't trust Hollywood Brown. If Hollywood Brown gets like a 50-yard touchdown or something, then maybe Justin pulls off the win. But if you watched that game last week, he didn't really seem to be out there and fully healthy yet. They seemed like they brought him back early. So if they're up big against the Bengals, I don't think he's going to play very much. So
I put the battle of the Giants, and we kind of have teams of full strength. Like, yeah, I guess Ertz would be better than Brown. Sony hasn't really, in my opinion, done too much. Like last week, he had 3 points. I mean, that's whatever. So I put that I like my Packers running backs and Montgomery matchups. I'm very worried about Michael Thomas. I mean, I'm just gonna give him 25 points right now, just because I'm just gonna be expecting that. But I think between my Packers running backs and Montgomery, between all three of them, I'd be surprised if I don't get at least 60 points. And then I have Chubb has Hunt coming back. Who knows how much time Hunt is going to take away from Chubb? Chubb's been a great running back. It really sucks that Hunt is even on the team. Kind of wanted to see Chubb just finish off the year without anybody taking his touches away. Carson's playing San Francisco. He's been really good, but again, he fumbled 2 times last week. I don't know why this dude just can't hold on to the ball. I don't think it's going to really play into his playing time, but San Francisco's defense is so good that if he, let's say, fumbles again, maybe Pete Carroll's going to be like, okay, dude, 3 fumbles in 2 games? You got to be kidding me. Maybe they're going to throw in Penny or somebody else for a couple more.
What was that, Pat?
I think my big-time sleeper that I'm going to throw in over Andrews is probably going to be O.J. Howard. And I know O.J. Howard hasn't done jack shit the entire season, and I might be an idiot for playing him or picking him up. But if he literally doesn't have a good game, like, I don't know, he should just go to the XFL or something because he has to have a good game. So I'm probably going to switch out Andrews for him. But I think I'll win. So fuck Justin.
Okay.
Fuck pizza.
Fuck pizza. There's no button for the fuck pizza button. But
I thought we were going to put that in. No. Okay.
Oh. Yeah. All right. Well, now that we've peaked with the best matchup, it's all downhill from here. So next up is the battle of I don't know what to make of this. It's Briggs versus Nick, and you have 2 teams in opposite directions. Briggs is going up, Briggs is ripping, Nick is slipping. And Nick's team, I mean, he made some pickups today to try and bridge the gap and make it better, but he's starting Dion Lewis. I think if you looked at teams that started Dion Lewis this year, I don't think the team's ever won with Dion Lewis. If I'm wrong, let me know. But pretty sure no one's ever won.
He's only had more than 4 fantasy points once.
Yeah, and he got his love child, Jimmy Graham, back on his team because I used him for a week. He was absolute trash and released him to the wild. So now he's back, and he's starting Danny Dimes against the Jets. So unless the Jets just really throw it in.
Not that I want to provide a scouting report, but he does have AJ Green started and he's projected. But apparently AJ Green has a swollen ankle now, and the wideout said that he's probably not playing. So if
he has swollen pride. He doesn't want to play for the Bengals. He's not going to play for the Bengals, and that would be a 0 spot. And who's he going to? I guess he drops Fells. He drops Fells. That's who he drops.
Somebody up. Yeah.
So I don't know. I think Nick will end up losing again this week, and then they'll fall to 7-3. If Nick didn't have this good of a record, he'd have to make some moves. But him and Pat and other teams who are really high up there are fine taking a couple of losses for the playoffs schedule and stint, and we'll see if it comes back to bite one of these guys. But right now they still have a little bit of wiggle room. So,
I put that Briggs is going to win. Fournette's in a bye week. That hurts. David Johnson, is he going to have a full workload? Is he going to split time? We're not even sure who's going into the second flex spot. He currently doesn't have anybody. Jimmy Graham's not that good. Dion Lewis is his other starting running back. And then Briggs is kind of just going to be firing off on all cylinders. Hunter Henry, really like him. Mike Evans, number 1 fantasy wide receiver. Ronald Jones announced to start against Arizona. Breeze versus Atlanta. It just makes sense. I mean, Briggs should win by 20, 25 points.
It's truly amazing because he did such a bad job in the draft, and he really doesn't have a good team, but he just keeps winning. So kudos to you, Briggs. This is the same way that you won you won the league before you left. You had a shit team. You somehow found your way to the championship, and you won. And you were never to be seen again for the next 7 years. And now you're back doing the same strategy. So if Alfred Morris gets hired or signed by another team, Vice, please, David, one of you guys, sign him before Briggs gets him, because if he gets him and makes the playoffs, it's over.
Guys.
It's over. So, all right, now this is, I mean, if you thought the Briggs versus Nick matchup was bad, you haven't seen shit yet, because this is the exact inverse of Krill versus Justin. This is David against Donnelly, and it's just you don't want to watch or be a part of this matchup at all.
But it's close.
When I was looking at this first, I was like, oh yeah, maybe Donnelly can get that second win and tie me in record. And I wanted to go with him, but his flex options are so bad. Ty Johnson, who's been relegated to nothing, and Randall Cobb. So I give it to David, but I don't care, basically.
I did too. I picked David, and Connor may play, but even without Connor, I mean, he's got good enough. Like, David's team is, like, this week, it's not a bad team. I mean, Goff sucks, but other than that, you look at some of the guys. I mean, he's got some good, decent players. Gore, I don't really think he's anything with Singletary. Drake, David Johnson's back. Devontae Adams is still kind of banged up. I told Donnelly when I tried trading for Devontae Adams that, dude, turf toe doesn't just go away. Like, he'll be out, and then it's going to continue through the entire year. But he wouldn't give him up. Understandable. It's one of his favorite players. Kelsey's good. But yeah, Ty Johnson, Cobb sucks. So, and then you got Tampa Bay Bucks defense against Arizona. That's wild. I don't know.
Yeah.
How are they even projected more than the Steelers? Like, Steelers defense?
I guess
ranked?
Because of the Rams. I don't know. Some of the sleeper projections are kind of dumb.
Dude, Steelers defense is ranked 3 on the fucking season.
They've been good.
With the listen to their last fantasy points. I'm going to tell you right now. 19, 13, 14, 11, 19, 11.
Well, it helps when Minkah Fitzpatrick keeps taking pick sixes.
Dude,
that helps.
In the last 6 weeks, they've scored in double digits. And then sleepers projecting Tampa Bay Bucks, who are 1, 5, 0, 1. Like what the hell are we talking about here? Sleeps?
Yeah. That leaves. So we both have Dave.
Yes. Have we agreed on everything?
Let's recap. So I have.
There's one more.
I know. We'll get to that one, but I have Andrew beating me. You have me, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we differ there. We both have Jackie. We both have Hoppy. We both have you. We both have Briggs. We both have David.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that leaves one matchup, and I'm sure we're going to disagree on this one because I picked against someone's wife. I'm taking Spitzer over Erica. This is another great matchup. Should be like these are two good teams. But I think when you look at Erica, there's some question marks that pop up. Evan Ingram, will he play? I don't know. She's got the best running back 1-2 punch with Cook and Barkley out there probably. And Barkley gets to play the Jets, which should be fun. Jimmy Garoppolo against Seattle, I don't know. Galladay's been great. But you look at Spitz, and Spitz is a top 3 team with bottom 3 luck. So, who knows? Stephon Diggs, he's projected 14. I think he could get anywhere from 2 to 25. He's got good players, and we'll see what happens. I like some of his matchups, too. I'm going to take Spitzer, but with that being said, I'm sure Erica will probably somehow win.
I'm also going to take Spitzer. I just think it makes sense. Like, even looking at the flex, you got Stephon Diggs and Godwin versus Kirk and Amendola. I mean, that's a joke. Like, Everett, I don't care for him much. He's a whatever tight end. She doesn't have a tight end. I don't know what her plan is. And then, in my notes, I put, Watson's in a bye. That sucks. Ingram got hurt randomly. That sucks. The thing that's going to carry her to win, which I don't see it happening, is definitely her running backs. Especially if Minnesota just wants to run the ball without Thielen, and Dallas gave up 4 touchdowns to Aaron Jones. Why can't Cook do the same thing? You know what I'm saying? And Barkley is playing the Jets. The Jets suck. So it'll honestly, if Cook and Barkley go for 30, maybe that's enough, but I don't know.
I'm reading the sleeper chat. I haven't been paying any attention to it while this podcast has been going on.
I've been chatting.
The excitement it's great. It sounds like people are splooging, and it's a whole lot of stuff going on right now. So yeah, should be exciting. That's all of our matchups. Do you have anything else that you wanna say or mention or anything? Or
no, I think we thank you guys for being in the league again. It's been super active.
We thank most of you for being in the league. You know who we don't thank.
I think at this point we all understand that fantasy football is fantasy football. There's a lot of funny shit talk going on in the chat. Like, if you guys actually think like we're mad at each other or like I'm mad at Pat or something, we're not. We're just talking shit in the chat. Life is life. Football's football. But it's been fun. Like I said, and Mike said, we're gonna be gone next 2 weeks. So happy if you want to gather your troops and do your commercials in the beginning for donations, and then do the podcast. That'd be that's welcome.
Yeah, or we're gonna set up a GoFundMe for Ruby. She had surgery last week and has to eat a lot of soft food, which I don't have equipped for me. So if anyone would like to help cover the costs, maybe Team Ruby could help cover some of those costs.
I feel like Team Ruby should cover the cost because, I mean, they're kind of sponsoring the dog.
While we're at it, soft food.
They're using the logo, right? Like Ruby is using Ruby's picture. Has Ruby gotten any incentives or money or dog food or treats for that? You haven't seen anything, right?
Nothing.
Clearly, she's owed something.
Yeah. Ruby, come here.
We'll be hearing from our lawyer soon, Ruby. All right, before we lose Skype, because sometimes it likes to mess around. Oh, Pat, you haven't said anything. You have anything else to say, Pat, or are you just going to keep staring at me the whole time? God damn it.
Pat, why don't you sing us a song? There we go. I think this is a good way to go out. The boys are back. We fired it up. Can't wait to see the response from all y'all. Ruby says,
go back to my homework, pals.
Yeah, and my phone's been blowing up. I got a shit ton of work to do. So
Magazine.
It's been real, y'all. Until the next one.